The Dungeon Reignited is Loki Battlemats' newest offering, a set of 2 ring-bound books of dry erase maps following a 12 by 12 1-inch grid standard, widely compatible with 5e and pretty much any fantasy tabletop role-playing game system or dungeon crawler that you could imagine, and the latest offering from Loki Battlemats, hot off the heels of their Cyberpunk Red set, and a return to form. The King is back to fantasy. Back to a set of books that are compatible with literally every other Loki product imaginable. And once again, giving us 2 map books in this set that you can combine to create 24 by 24 maps. That's kind of a misnomer, because although you can technically do that, you can also do 48 by 12, 12 by 48, 24 by 48 if you arrange the books a certain way and then leave a spot for an open area. These books lay flat for use with miniatures. And this set of books in particular, although they all could technically feature this, I suppose, has a couple of pages wherein lie an optional set of tokens that can be cut out to customize your book of battle mats, or they can be left in the book and played on as map pages. We're going to take a peek at that. Also really nice to see this 1-inch 5-foot legend appearing on the back. But we're going to be looking at this right now, and I did acquire this from the most recent crowdfund, and I got a particular tier that included the Little Book of Battlemats Pocket Edition, which I will also flip through and show you, but I don't want the words crowdfund and tier to chase you away, because all of Loki's Battlemaps products should be available on their website very shortly after that particular project funds, with some exceptions like the Wilderness. If you are new here, this is going to be the perfect video to introduce you to Loki Battlemaps, because this, in my opinion, is their best. It has become my favorite, and I sat on that opinion for a minute before I decided that it was true. This set contains some of my favorite maps. It appears to have an evolution in the map making theory that Loki applies. I believe that these maps are taking a look at the bigger picture of the scenarios in which you might apply them. I am Ash, and this is Ash Quest. What is the quest? It seems to be a quest to absolutely decimate the contents of your wallet, and I seem to be doing a pretty good job of that, so like, comment, subscribe, and all of that. Let us begin. Volume 1 and Volume 2 aren't the same contents. They are going to be maps set in the same biome, designed for perfect compatibility, although you should be able to combine nearly any 2 Loki maps in pretty much any configuration and any orientation you want, because their design has this very open, consistent, there's always going to be a 2-tile wide entry point to the left, upper, right, and south edges of every single board, so they will all connect in a very natural, fluid way. Checking out this very first map, I was pretty blown away. I thought that this was an awesome story that you could tell. You could have so many awesome stories that you could tell with just the environment here. This set of 2 maps is a great opener to the rest of this set. There are a couple of concerns that might be immediately obvious to people who haven't used a set of map boards like this, and I want to maybe address those right away. This is a ring-bound set of books. All of the Loki books are. You can, of course, just lay these flat, and the books do an awesome, and I mean awesome, job of everything staying flat. Nothing comes close. I've gotten large neoprene mats that are still a little bit wavy even after a couple of days of laying them flat. These are just designed to be that way by virtue of their manufacturing and what they are. They're the flattest. But if the ring binding is something that is hurting the immersion at your table or confusing any of your players for some reason, you can actually remove these pages. You'll have to cut them free. They're not perforated or anything like that, but they are sized such that you can lose the material that extends beyond the punch outs for the ring binding, because those spaces are a little bit longer than your other 1-inch grids, your other 1-inch tiles adjacent, sorry. You can lose that material and it shouldn't affect you that much. And then you technically have even more options for your map, because now you can have the same 2 maps that you had before. Sorry, let's not spoil what's ahead just yet. And you can rotate either one of them in orientations that you didn't have access to before, because they're kind of locked on this relative orientation with one another. The other concern that people might have is you have a differing height here. So if your character has to go from here to here, they're jumping down, and that isn't really going to matter unless your maps that are adjacent are kind of like this, where you have this noticeable ledge. You'll just take the pages that are at the bottom of your book, the unseen ones, and you'll flip them until you have an equalization in height. I haven't seen that complaint actually. That was something that I saw and thought was a little bit weird, but then I realized how I could fix that. And just to kind of prove a point about all of the Loki products being compatible with one another, you can definitely do something like this. And now this 1-inch grid continues. There's no tile drift. You simply step outside of the dungeon onto the edge of this building, and then depending on what other books you have, you can take your possible dungeon combinations into the literal millions. Yes, I do mean millions. So anyways, this is the first 24 by 24 representation that we have, and we'll just go ahead and flip pages because we've been on this one long enough. The next one, we are inside. What are we inside of? This is a ruined area. This could very well have been a place for royalty to sit, a court of some kind. This could have been a place of worship. There are clear outlines for rooms, but they are in shambles now. Why? That's up to you. We will move quickly to the next set of maps. This one is very dungeon crawl, whereas the previous map lent itself more to skirmishes or kind of leaning on you to provide the obstacles and furniture. This is giving you exploration opportunity like crazy. There are so many rooms on these 4 pages, and imagine the labyrinths that you can come up with depending on how you arrange these. And they'll arrange perfectly. It doesn't matter how you possibly turn them or match them up. That's not a point that I'm going to continue making because I don't want to belabor it, but I just wanted to underline it and just clarify exactly what I meant by any orientation, any configuration. These maps are super modular. It's the reason I keep coming back to them. Every time a Loki product name is dropped, I'm like, yes, and I have the money set aside ahead of time because it's a win. It's just a win. Now, it is at this point that I will express a complaint that I have had with every single release thus far, and it, I know, has to be something deliberate because it offers its own accessibility. You have your doorways baked in, so the boards already have the doors designed where they're going to be. In a game system like HeroQuest, you have all of your rooms closed off, and you decide where the doorways are going to be by providing literal doors on the map as soon as the heroes come into the line of sight of that door. That way, you have provided a sense of the players don't know what this map is really going to look like until they uncover it as they explore. With this system, your players are going to know that this door is here, or the potential for this door is here, no matter where they're at on the board, no matter at what point they are coming into this adventure and seeing it. They don't need to uncover this through fog of war or have it in their line of sight to know that this is going to be the entry point into this room. And if you want to circumvent this, you can of course place a door wherever you want and place some sort of barricade somewhere else, but that's going to be an immersion complaint on my end. So it isn't something that's a game breaker or anything, but it is something that I think could be improved if they just made all of the doorways into walls, with the exception, of course, being the up, down, left, right exits and entry points. Okay, moving on to the next one, and we have long corridors here. Only corridors, oops, all corridors. There are no rooms. You can still apply line of sight rules to uncover monsters as you are journeying through this delightful labyrinth. We have some strange light sources. Perhaps you can call these sconces on the walls. They just emit a blue flame, something very ethereal, something very magical, or they could be perhaps ancient technology. Which, if you think about it, isn't a sconce ancient technology? Isn't fire just an ancient technology? Moving on, we have sewers. This is where you could potentially encounter rat men. They are the stuff of children's bedtime stories. They're not real. There aren't really a race of subterranean rat people, humanoids, that come up from the surface to steal things and repeat words and use strange terms like man-thing. No, but I do like this sewer layout quite a bit. You see that we have convention in design that switches between 2 tile wide to 1 tile. Very careful. I like this stuff. There's nothing saying that you can't traverse also the waters, because you, as the GM, DM, Zargon, whatever, can decide how deep these waters really go. This could be just like a foot deep here on the shallow end, with the waters evidently rushing this way and falling into the deeper pool below. Or this could also be 1 foot deep, because this is really just a ledge and the water continues to flow outward and into what I assume are drains. Well, I don't actually see the drains. I see water coming out and splashing onto these surfaces, but I don't see a place for the water to exit. But you can decide where the water exits. It could just be something that we don't see. But all in all, very well designed. We have debris, we have bits of boards, bobs, crates, pieces, things like that you can use as cover. As you can see, we have objects baked into the map for better or for worse. You can choose to just ignore them. For the most part, your heroes aren't going to worry about rubble and boards and things like that. Occasionally you'll see a table or a crate and your hero will have a question like, can I use this? And you got to be like, oh yeah, there was that thing on the map. No. This next set I really like, their use of the colors. I like the rooms that they have off to the sides of this main chamber where we honor the memory of this brave warrior, or perhaps they have erected a statue of the betrayer to remind themselves of the evil that he wrought. But I really like that the doors are off to the sides, that you kind of have to take the long way around to get into the places there. And more baked in materials, we've got a dagger, we've got bird bones. These might mean something in the design process, but you decide if they mean anything while you are guiding your foolish heroes through these labyrinthine mazes. You're seeing, as I'm turning one page at a time, how each map could flow into a completely different map if you so desired. You could even turn back several pages and see how that works. Now we have a library that is built perhaps underground, and this particular place has been subject to some quaking. You just have all kinds of stories that you can make with configurations like this. The library that now becomes a total dungeon. Or how about a library that continues on into being a library? That's where we're at right now. We have lots and lots of bookshelves. We have a nice quiet reading area. The bookshelves, you might scoff, you might scorn, you might yawn, but they provide line of sight cover. They provide natural fog of war. There could be all kinds of ambushes awaiting you in the library. There could be cultists in this fourth map, this grand room, and they are reciting the poetry that will allow their old one, their squid guy, to arise from the depths. Now we have a library that is in a swamp, and now we have a full-on swamp. Watch out for ogres here. Loki has given us a lot of options for traversing, for making it from one end to the other, as we play a fantasy medieval game of Frogger, trying not to fall into the water. You can have archers poised, goblins with bows, boomerangs, spears, whatever, and you've got to avoid those while you make it from point A to point B. This gives me a very Dark Souls 3 vibe. Sometimes I do compare these maps and these game systems to Dark Souls and some of the other games that I've highly enjoyed. But the map design here does remind me of something that you could pull off if you were trying to make a Dark Souls-like dungeon crawler. Next up, we have cells, and we have a lot of them. We have enough cells to create a really cool adventure where you can have a jailbreak, or where you can have the prisoners. Okay, when I said jailbreak, I meant like the heroes jailbreak, and I almost just said jailbreak again. But 1, heroes have to jailbreak themselves. 2, heroes have to get here, and then the prisoners are jailbroken, and then they all gang up on the heroes. There's 2 completely different scenarios. Or you could combine them. You could have them be the same scenario. Baked in detail, gates being open, that's going to limit us a little bit. I would much rather have had the option to place a door down and turn that door accordingly. We have a mess hall. It's not a lot of tables. We seem to have a wide open space. What do they do in the wide open space? It's like a fight club? Do they have a ball? Welcome to the prison ball. We have a torture room. Highly unfortunate. We have a very curious room down here. I don't know if this is just like a place for interrogation or a place where you have your prisoners held separately, and then you've got the guard who's specifically assigned to watch them, and it's extra security. So this is where the guard could fall asleep, and this is where the heroes could start out, and they could find a way to get themselves out of this room, and then you've got to take the keys off the sleeping guard, or slay him, but you got to do so very quietly before creeping out into the hallway. And then your evil wizard player is able to place down all of the patrolling monsters, and you could do some really good patrolling scenarios with this long winding path. And again, you have all of these different scenario types and all of these different configurations. You could make this exact same quest with these exact same rules. Don't alert the guards and escape the complex 4 or 5 times, and it should still feel pretty original. Something else that I wanted to point out and show you is it's totally possible for your player characters to traverse from one end to the map to another, and then like a gate will shut behind them, right? Gates will close down. There will be points of no return. They can continue their adventure on this map, and then you can go ahead and take your Loki Battle Mats map, turn it to the next page, and go up here. And now they're playing this area. They know this area is next. And it's just a way to save on table space, but now you've got like a 24 by 36 quest. You could continue doing this, and you could make essentially the largest quest ever. All right, I need to flip these back over where they were. This is where we are for the next one. We are out of the prison. We are in the alleys. There is a bit of a town here, and I'd said somewhere at some point that there's no like best book. It's really like the best book for your needs. This one covers a lot of needs. This one covers a lot of different scenarios, and I particularly love that although this is a dungeons book, it does have the implication that we have alleys winding through a street. So you have all kinds of safe spaces here. You have an opportunity for a between quest. You have an opportunity for settlement events. You have an opportunity for travel events between quests. And you can use these 4 maps alone or as part of whatever configuration to get those events played out. We're going to move on to the next 2 set of maps. And yes, they have given us a huge nothing but skirmish. There are no walls, there are no doors. Connectivity here doesn't matter. There is no spoon, there is no cake. It's a lie. You can provide your own dungeon dressing to make this into whatever you like, or you can just create a whole circle of NPCs while your heroes are in the very center, getting ready to fight some large monster that's making its way to this square. This is totally up to you. Most of the battle map books do have these wide open areas in them. Usually they're like at the very front of the book though. It's kind of cool to see this kind of in the dead center of the books, I guess. And we move on, and I don't know if anybody had this concern yet, but something I want to point out, we do have numbering in the corners of the pages. It's hard to see. It does not get into the way of the player's immersion whatsoever. It's not hard to see. It's easy to see, but it's easy to miss is what I really meant. And I mean that as a compliment, because I would like for these numbers to be nice and tucked away where nobody is going to see them. But it makes it very easy to share your configuration and your adventures over text. You can be like, yeah, we used Book of Battle Mats, the dungeon, pages 1 and 2 as the top book, and we used Towns and Taverns, pages 9 and 10 as the bottom book. And we played a 24 by 24 map, and bam, you have just shared your map configuration. So moving back to the commentary and the overview of the maps here, we have some water sources that have been sprung. You could call this water, you could call this any kind of liquid that you want. The fact that it's been uncovered could be intentional, could be unintentional. It seems that they are mining this water for some reason. Perhaps it is part of just a water filtration system. It's delivering it to the people or to the monsters. Or it could be taking and filtering out gold or some other precious material. We've got some lava on these 2 maps, and I actually love this feature, but we've got this dwarf mosaic or motif here in the stones. Just to tell you, yeah, this is a dwarven design, baby. And you already knew it because only the dwarves are going to build all this tile and all of this construction over the top of this actively flowing lava. This top map is a little bit different. The lava is in channels. It is being routed. It is being used for something. For what? That's up to you. You get to decide what the dwarves designed this for. Why are they using it? What are they trying to get from the lava? Perhaps it's gold. They're panning for gold in the lava. It could happen. The melting point of gold is much lower than the melting point of rock. So I guess it could be like a magical gold though. Valyrian gold, you know, that sort of thing. We have ruins next up, and we have a throne where an ancient king once sat, or an ancient witch lord. That's really more up to you. Wide open map here. And then we've got rooms and corridors, rooms and corridors. They're very, very big corridors. And then we've got another wide open room with a water source. Perhaps this is a spawn point. Perhaps your quest begins here and it goes down and then to the right and then back up, and that's where you fight the boss. But the whole while, we've got enemies that will spawn every couple of turns, or on the roll of a 6, they'll come out of the pool, adding more enemies to this cascading failure quest. We have a fountain here as well. Does it heal your heroes? I don't know. Roll to find out. We move into the next set of pages, and we have, again, corridors and rooms, but this time we've got verticality to them. We have these vantage points here in the corners of this map, so apply line of sight rules accordingly. Perhaps your heroes could enter in through this door, and they are beset upon by archer, orcs, and the like. We have a series of pews, perhaps to be in attendance as they listen to the speaker who appears here. This seems like a cultist setup for sure. Less so any sort of holy temple. And why wouldn't it be? Because we have an ancient crypt with a single tomb inside, and should the evil arise from this tomb, the world would be imperiled for sure. We have other tombs on this map also. This is actually a really nice setup, and this provides you with spawn points as well. You could roll, and depending on the result of your roll, which I would roll a d12, and I would number these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, and there's going to be a skeleton or something that spawns from that particular coffin. And we have a place that we can drag all of these skeletons to and beat them up. Just beat the living bones out of them. Beat the bones.
Now we're taking a trip into the fungal area, or what could be a fungal area. We also have a safe room right here. We've got fire. We've got a place for our heroes to sleep. We have 4 places, 4 heroes. Could be 4 enemies. Doesn't really matter. You get to decide, as always. We're back into sort of ruins territory where we do have walls, but they don't mean a whole lot. Turning the pages, we are able to get to a much larger area. We have a lot more verticality here, places for heroes or monsters to get pushed off of and fall to their doom, or at least fall and there's a chance of them losing hit points or body points. Lots more fungus, providing some light to the area, or perhaps deadly spores that have a chance of spawning every turn. We have some water in this area. Could be safe to drink, could be actually acidic. Just opportunity for all kinds of events to happen, all kinds of, again, stories to be told. Next up, we make it to the end of the mushroom caverns, sort of a split between ruins and mushrooms here. So the potential for this set of maps is pretty high, because now we have 3 sets of maps per book. You have all kinds of configurations, and you could really create a huge fun adventure for your party of heroes. Really drive home those fungus mechanics. We get into our penultimate set of pages, and this is what the set of books refer to as tokens. Not this side so much, I think, as this side, as there are many, many rooms that you can cut out on that right page, all of varying sizes. I don't think I can bring myself to cut these out of the book. For my set, you'll have to let me know if you are somebody who cuts your Loki battle maps out of their books. I prefer to keep everything ring-bound because it just feels so much more organized that way. And I'll always kind of know from which book a given map set came. Some of these are kind of similar, so I could see myself definitely confusing some of them, some part of the time at least, if I were to cut everything out and not keep them in their own sets. But I could see how people could differ from this. Also, the first and last pages having their own maps on them makes it very difficult to justify cutting any of the maps out, because then I'm going to have a set of maps that are on these huge boards and not just on pages. Yeah, we have all kinds of rooms here. You could still chain them together into a sprawling dungeon where you unlock each room one at a time. Going through, I'd probably have this be some sort of crazy, you have so many turns to escape because this whole place is about to go down. Maybe I would have all of the doors open already and I just wouldn't place the monsters on the board until the heroes had entered the line of sight for each room each time, but they would just continue running running, Super Metroid end of game style. Our last two sets of maps are very much the same thing, just rooms upon rooms. This page being the one on the opposite side of our optional tokens that you cut out. And yes, if you do cut out these rooms, then the rooms on the opposite side are going to be the same size as what you cut out. So the configuration is the exact same either way. And then you've got options, as always, as to which room you would be putting down as a token on your board. I would never call these tokens. I call them room tiles. That's what I would call them. So that's pretty amazing. And I'm really glad that they took the time to think about that and consider that with their designs. Yeah, you have this really long, tall 4x7 room here, and it's 4x7 on the other side. It may look a little bit more interesting on this side, but there are times in your dungeon that you need a lot of uninteresting rooms, and these would definitely provide, and they are still differently colored, so they have their own identity apart from one another, which I think is always cool to see. It's not just gray cobblestone equal empty room. Visual feast, even if you're not going to decorate these with anything at all. Scan this QR code for free digital content. Maybe we have some pre-built 5e quests. I'm not a 5e player, so I'm not going to pursue that, but that is the Dungeon Reignited. We're going to move on very quickly to the little book of battle mats before we put a few examples out to show you how these are compatible with your favorite dungeon crawler and mine. And our pages in the little book do not line up or match up with the themes of the biomes in the Dungeon Reignited in any way. This is just bonus maps that you can use for whatever. You can use this standalone. You don't have to pair this with anything. If you have other little books, because this format does have its own series, I myself have 3 other books in this series, then you could pair them up and you could really have these dungeon adventures that are now 12 by 12 instead of 6 by 12 or 6 by 24, 6 by 48. You can do what you like as long as you feel like it matches what you're trying to do. This set of maps here is strange to me. Like, these are supposed to be 1 inch equals 5 foot, but it looks like I'm looking down from like a drone's height over this desert. It's very strange. It just looks like topography. Next page, that's not the next page. Yeah, we have dinosaur bones, or the bones of a dragon or some other great beast in an icy cave or field. Then we have some plains, jutting stones. Perhaps this is used for midsummer rituals. We have a cave nearby. Perhaps a barrow wight lives within. Turn, and we have a coastline. Plenty of opportunity for camping, and then fending the village off. Fending the village off? Defending the village from encroaching Sahagin. Fending off the Sahagin. You're going to be doing some fending one way or another. I really wish that we had seen a full 12 by 24, 24 by 12 version of this. This theme is really pretty. This is very specific. It calls to mind very, very, very specific area and situation, but I just feel like ruins that were built in a marsh, and whenever it rains, the ruins get this 1 to 2 inch flood of water, and then you've got all of these elements of late summer or fall just flooding into the ruins as sort of just waste, but it's really pretty. It looks really, really nice. I fully suggest, I want this to be a set of maps in the next Loki release. Our next one is very Mordor, very Mount Doom, very dark elf. We've got a jutted up rock, so you'll have the advantage if you are fighting a disciple of the Sith. You'll easily be able to get the high ground and then chop him into pieces. Also, if you turn them this way, you can kind of see the outline of those goofy little guys from Mario Sunshine. You got the big nose right here, and then you've got like their little broccoli hair, and this is where their eyes would go. The next one is city streets. You could have a very quick scenario involving some beggars that are actually evil shapeshifters or perhaps royalty in disguise. You can have some merchants lined up among these streets, some thieves, again with the town events. Next set of pages, we have, I don't even know what to call these rocks. These look so experimental, like they were really just trying stuff out, and they were like, I really like the look of this, let's make these into a map somehow. You don't see repeats, by the way, of the tile, which I think is really cool. I think that they probably just took a picture of something, applied the grid over it, and then a filter, or perhaps the filter and then the grid, and then another filter, or they could have done like 80 filters, and then they rearranged the picture. So I'm wondering if this is a mosaic of a photograph otherwise. It may not be a photograph, it may just be random texture that was generated by some Photoshop means. But whatever it is, this is really interesting. We move on to the next one, and we kind of have the result of the questionable water being questionably pumped from that one set of maps here. Next set of maps is a perfect, just little tiny crypt with a tree at the end with some skulls. Why are the skulls near the tree? I don't know. We might have an ogre or a troll that lives within these depths. We might have a boss fight that happens in this room, a la Elden Ring. Boss fights at the end of crypts, and then there's roots of a tree at the end. It's very Elden Ring coded, in my opinion. We have more dungeon, busted wall of no consequence. The wall itself is still intact. The next set of pages is outdoors. It's flat. It doesn't have to be outdoors. It could be anywhere, really. But definitely flat terrain, piles of rubble with bones mixed therein. Next set of pages is a return to our library. The next set of pages is an opportunity to walk across this rug of royalty and partake of the fountain. What happens when you drink from its waters? Well, hopefully not the same thing that happened to this arrangement of bones, at least when it was still together and covered in muscle and flesh and sinew, and ideally skin and hair. A couple of pits in this one. You could slide down into the pit. Perhaps the pits ever spawn skeletons or monsters of other types, so they can't escape, but you definitely do not want to be sliding down into them. This one's a little bit weird. I kind of could read this both as something that's jutting upwards or going downwards. I kind of think it's more something going into the land than coming up out of it. I'm pretty sure I'm right on that. But you could have your heroes come into here, and then you've got either archers or these crystal formations are actually firing upon them. Lasers of fantasy crystal energy magic beams. I should copyright that. That's a great idea. You have to figure out what you're doing to avoid those rays when you eventually come up out of this pit to move past them and get on to your next objective. And the last set of pages is just an open area for fighting. All right, we've got some HeroQuest tiles now, and I just want to see how these look when they are placed on the battle maps. Obviously, you're going to have some situational placements. You're not going to have every tile be compatible with every single board due to the nature of some of the rooms being open and sprawling, and these being designed to fit in very specific sized rooms on a board for a completely different project. But I will say that the size of the tile is perfect. Zero tile drift. It is just perfect. It sits in there perfectly. Took a little bit of time, but I found one that I think is pretty perfect for the throne room of the Witch Lord HeroQuest tile. This is going to fit right here within the confines of this room. We're just one tile too many vertical. You could either push this up and have the heroes enter the room and have this extra row of tiles, or you could have it pushed down and have the heroes immediately enter the room, and just consider these 5 tiles along the top to be a sort of walkway that is formed, being a part of the upper part of the room that is created by having these stairs walk up to the throne. This is just such an awkward design as is. I mean, you got to come up the side and then you've got to carefully swing one leg over to sit in this chair. It looks really cool. The end product is fine. Rule of cool prevails there. But like, how's a Witch Lord supposed to work in these conditions? All right, then one of my favorite ways to use the little books of battle mats and HeroQuest tiles and the like with Loki battle mat books is off to the side. The heroes will never suspect a thing unless somebody tries to journey off the edge, and then you place down the room tile. Completely subverts expectations, although this means that it's either going to be a secret room or one that you provide hints to. Finding a little earlier in the adventure, don't make it impossible. You're breaking a design convention here. Now, this is a bad example since this is the rotating room, but you could absolutely have this be in any of the 4x4 rooms that are present in this or any of the Loki books. The only problem is, as is, when the heroes step into it and it rotates, it's not really going to lead anywhere unless you want it to rotate and lead into the next map at a different point. And just in case this idea has not entered your brain case, you don't have to have the books perfectly lined up like this. You can actually have the books do something like this. This right here, this changes everything. You don't have baked in entry-exit points that allow for this to happen natively, but you can make this happen by having a secret door present in this quest, or have a mechanic like the rotating room, which by the way doesn't have to go there. It can absolutely go here, and then provide total legal access to the next map without having any sort of tricky board configurations. Got my Crypt of Perpetual Darkness Tavern tile here, and the opposite side, Venom's Chamber. This could fit in a wide variety of places on these maps, but it's not really changing anything but the appearance of what is already just a wide open room. It is providing you with a little bit of baked in detail, which may or may not mean anything for your particular campaign. The other side of this being a tavern tile, you could absolutely set this down and have this underground tavern that just pops up out of nowhere. It is truly a pop-up experience. This actually works perfectly well. We're covering up some of like the ruins, walls and stuff, but I think it works really well. You have your adventurers come in, and it's the third set of mushroom maps for this campaign, and they're like, oh man, more mushroom stuff. How are we ever supposed to find this supposed hidden goblin bar? And you're like, oh, just keep going, just keep going. And they're like, what are you gonna do when we find it? And they happen upon this map, and then you finally set this bad boy down. And oh man, what a visual feast that is. Now all that's left to do really is populate these maps with some monsters and some doorways. I don't want to do this particular set. Let's get to a dungeon proper. I want to utilize my doors. Let's go. All right, I kind of like the idea of the heroes traversing through that labyrinth or this dungeon. Either one of these is just fine. You can of course have your doorways sat down where there are baked in doorway points, just to make this a lot more immersive. If you're going to play a game like HeroQuest, make sure you set your monsters down as soon as they enter the hero's line of sight, or when the hero opens up a given room. If your particular quest has monsters that are hiding behind things like bookshelves and the like, then it is up to you when to reveal those monsters so that you can retain the power of the ambush. Yeah, and the 2021 Avalon Hill HeroQuest miniatures work perfectly well with Loki Battle Maps dungeons. In fact, I have a few episodes of what I call Loki Quest, where I am using the HeroQuest miniatures and rule set to give you a homebrew quest using the Loki Battle Maps. And that's a series that I hope to continue. It's been a while since it kind of fell off my radar, and I just haven't had time to revisit the concept. But everything about these maps will work perfectly well. If you're wanting to play some old school Warhammer quests, these maps should work perfectly well for that as well. Every time you are supposed to place down a door and then an empty room and then an event card, you just don't do that, and instead you have these maps, and every time the heroes enter a new room, that's when you will draw the event card. You place your event cards in the rooms pre-baked if you're playing a more classical game of Warhammer Quest. You could totally put down closed door tiles over anything that's not supposed to be an opened up room, and that will work just fine. Closed door miniatures or closed door tiles works just fine. The baked in doors are a pain point that I have, but they don't need to be a pain point for everybody. You can work around them. There are solutions and there are options. So anyway, that's my presentation of what I think is the best set of the Loki's Battle Map series, with the possible exception of Towns and Taverns, just because I love that one so much. It provides you with so many opportunities to have an adventure in a town, and I love towns. I would love to know what your favorite Loki offering is, and whether you want to see more Loki Quest videos. It's the maps themselves that kind of lend inspiration for these things. I was using Jeff Ashford's, Little Book of Dungeons or something like that. It was like a Five Below book, but that was specifically for 5e. It was pretty good at kind of rolling on to get that inspiration, find out what kind of biome or what kind of theme we were going to make, but ultimately I decided that book was just not for me, so I don't have it anymore. And that's it. If this drives you to go buy some Loki products, make sure you tell them Ash sent you their way. And make sure you type it out exactly like that, all of the stuttering and everything. You put all that in one line. It'll be very confusing, but at least it'll be lore accurate. And I will see you in the next exciting adventure, brave heroes. Thank you so much for your kind attention. If you like this kind of content, maybe consider following the channel. If you want to support this channel in a very direct way, maybe consider visiting the Patreon and all that, but none of that really matters. Just stick around and watch more videos. And onward, brave heroes, for now.